In this tutorial, I'd like to talk about FTP and a little bit about web hosting. Primarily, I'd like to show you how to upload a website to your free server that you have with BCTC. Now, this is only for BCTC students. If you are taking this course through another college, like another KCTCS institution, you're probably going to have access to a similar server, but you'd have to check with IT to find out what that is. This is just specific to Bluegrass. Also, this is a new server, and this is the first time I've tried this, so I'm not 100% sure that it is going to work. That's why I'm not going to make it a requirement for a project. But if you have some time and you want to try this out, send me a URL and let me know if this works or not. It should work. I checked with IT and I asked them, I said I've got a web design class I'm teaching and I want students to be able to upload to the server, and they said this should work for you. And what I'm talking about here is what you see in this URL. It's HTTPS, so it is a secure server, and it says grace.bluegrass.kctcs.edu. Grace is just the name of their server, the directory right here. And then there's a slash and a tilde on your keyboard. That's in the top left of your keyboard. And then your username. And then if you have a folder on here, I've got portfolio. So this is a website that's live. You could type this in anywhere in the world and access it. And it's probably what people are doing. It's probably got hundreds of thousands of hits right now, which hopefully yours will too when you upload to the Grace server. Actually, no one's going to find this, but it is kind of fun to try it out because it's free, and you can get your site live if you want to send it to your friends or something. So, the only thing I would caution you don't want to upload anything that has copyright material on it. People are probably not going to find it, but just in case, you want to be careful about that. So let's try this. This is the only time that I'm going to break my rule and use Dreamweaver, and I'm mainly going to use it just for code and FTP. It has a built-in FTP program. You may not have Dreamweaver, in which case you can try one of the free programs, but I would just be careful with those. I'm not recommending specific free programs because of potential malware and spyware in those programs. If someone has a really good free FTP program that they want to send me, by all means, you can do that. But I have had trouble with these. Like FileZilla is one that the college has typically always recommended. But, I've seen versions of this that have a lot of spyware built into them. So you really have to be careful when you're talking about FTP. Stands for File Transfer Protocol. And free ones, you are logging into a server and you have, your login, your password, and you're installing a program on your computer that you download from the internet. So you might want to consider buying one if you don't have Dreamweaver. And, I'm not requiring it for this class, but there's one called WSFTP, which is a good one. There's a number of them out there, but most of you probably have access to Dreamweaver, or you can be on campus and try it out at some point, or even like a public library, you could try it. And I like it because it's a good code editor, and it does have the WYSIWYG part, so you don't want to use that for this class, obviously. But it's really sort of evolved more into a code editor, and then it has a built-in FTP program, and then it has a lot of previews built into it. And again, I'm not going to teach you this program. I'm just going to use it to access the FTP part of it and transfer the website that way. And again, I'm doing that because I don't feel comfortable recommending that you download one of those free FTP programs right now. But again, if someone has one that you want to send me, by all means, you can do that. You have luck with it. FileZilla works fine if you download it, install it. But again, you just have to be careful because they do have that malware built into it. So that's all I'll say about that. I'll come back and talk a little about like a hosting company like HostGator at the end of this tutorial. But for now, let's transfer a site here so you can see kind of how this works. And again, I'm going to show you the absolute simplest steps here that I can in Dreamweaver. When you open this program up, it's probably going to look something like this. On the top right of the program, I have it set to standard instead of developer. If you are more into the coding side, this program works great with code, all types of it. If you want to do PHP, CSS, JavaScript, really anything. So first thing you want to do is define a website. So I'm going to do site and new site. And all that a site is in Dreamweaver is a folder. So you're just telling Dreamweaver where is your website folder. Okay, so I'm going to do site and new site. And I'm just going to call this IMD 133. I'll put 2019 on there in case I have another one. Just to be perfectly clear on this, you still want to use Text Wrangler for your actual projects, but if you are going to upload anything that you're creating, you could try this. You could also use the code editing part of this program, but this is a program that costs money. You have to pay the subscription fee, and that's why, again, I'm not requiring this in this class. I wanted you to get through this class without having to buy programs and textbooks. Just use the resources that are available. So this is something that you probably want to use after this class, but again, I don't want you to use it for the project, but it works great for the FTP part. So to get this set up, you've got to define your website. So I'm creating a new site in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to choose the folder that we've been working on. So I'm just going to browse for that folder. Okay, and I navigated to that folder, and it has all the different demonstration sites that I have used this semester. So I'll go ahead and click choose on this. All right, and I'm going to go next up on the list is servers. And this is where you're going to type in the server, and you would use this on any FTP program. So what you're going to see here in Dreamweaver, it looks like pretty much any FTP program that you would download and use, in that it's going to have the screen split into two sides. One side is going to be your local machine. The other side is going to be the server. It could be located anywhere in the world that you're logging into. Every FTP program that you see is going to look like that. So this is just like a little built-in program in Dreamweaver to do that for you. So I'm going to click the plus sign right here. It says add new server. And now this is where you're just going to have to try it out and see, because this is what the Bluegrass ITS, they told me that it should work, but they didn't. No one's tried it before. Faculty, obviously, I've tried it because I'm uploading these sites for you, but I don't think any students have tried it yet. So just let me know. Send me a URL if you do get this to work. So you want to choose. You can type in the name Grace, but that doesn't really matter. But just give it a name. It is an SFTP server that's secure, so choose that from the list right here. Just SFTP. The website address is Grace. You don't have to type anything before that. .bluegrass.kctcs.edu. Leave it just like that. Leave port 22 on there. Authentication is username and password. This is going to be your login for your KCTCS email or for your Blackboard e-learning site. Same thing, same login, same password. Alright, so I'm going to type that in. And I don't know what the root directory is, so I'll just leave that blank. That doesn't matter a whole lot. It's different depending on what server. Usually it's just www is the folder they use, or it might be like htdocs or something, but we don't know what it is. I don't remember, so I'm just going to leave it blank. And I'm going to go ahead and click test on here. And if it's okay, it works. If it takes a little while, it's not going to work. Usually it works immediately. So again, what you want to do is type in a name. Choose SFTP, type in the address without anything before it. It's grace.bluegrass.kctcs.edu, and then your username and password, and that should be it. This fills in automatically. So if you're using another FTP program, this is what you need. They're all going to have these same options. So click Save, and then click Save again here. All right, and then let's see if you get this. Just disregard those messages. Okay, so over in the top right hand side there's a files, and then this is where I can access all the sites. So let me choose one of these older ones here to upload. I'll double click on this. So when you double click on this, you can see that it does open up sort of the WYSIWYG part. It shows you what's happening here with the visual layout. It has the design, the split view, and then the code right here. So you can certainly use it as a code editor. That's what a lot of people do. It does a really good job with filling in code as you're typing it and organizing it with indentations and colors. So it does work really well. Again, not really appropriate for a beginning web design class, but definitely something that I would recommend that you consider using after this class. If you're developing custom websites or getting into coding, it does work really well. But that's all I'm going to show you with this program, because primarily I want to show you the FTP part. So over here in the top right hand side, if you can see where my mouse is, it says expand to show local and remote sites. So I'm going to click that button. That's going to expand right here, and there's the FTP program. You can see it is divided into columns right here. There on the right hand side it says local. So every FTP program is going to say local and remote. So local is going to be your machine. These are the files on my hard drive. And then on the left hand side, that's going to be the remote server. You'll also see a little plug. Most of the FTP programs have a plug of some kind or a connect button. So I'm going to say connect to remote server right here. And that's going to log in and show me all my files. Now here's the root directory that I would have typed in if I'd remember that. It's public_HTML. I'm just going to expand that and see what's in there. And you can see there's the portfolio site. So this portfolio folder right here that you can see, I'll expand it a little bit so you can see the files in it. I think there are files in that. They might take a second to show up. There they are. If I go back to Firefox, that is what I just showed you right there. So this site, that's the folder. So just for testing this out here, what I'll do is create a new folder and then drop this into it so we can see it, like the HTML and the styles.css. Now a couple things here. If you want a website, like a homepage, to show up when you type in just your username. So if you just type in your username right here, and you want that to show up, you would have to upload an index.html file. So that's why I'm always asking you to name your pages, your homepage, index.html. Because when you upload an index.html file into a folder, then you don't have to specify the actual HTML file path. You just type the name of the folder and the URL, and then it automatically looks for the index.html. So that's what's going on right there. So let me come back here. So I'm going to right click on public.html and I'm going to do new folder, and let's call this IMD 133, and capitals do matter for the folder names. In this case, for this particular server, sometimes they don't, but the capitals do matter. Let's do IMD 133, and then let's just say web design, just like that. So I've got capital W and D. I've made that probably a little more complicated than I need to, but wanted to make sure it was different enough. And then just drag and drop. So I'm going to drag the index.html file right here. Okay, drop it right on top of that. And then I also need the styles.css in this case. And if you had any images, you would want to drag the images folder as well here. So here's the images folder. So I'll drag the whole thing, drop it right on top of that folder. You could also double click that folder and make it easier to drag and drop. Looks like I have some large images that I probably should not have included in there, but that's all right. So now let's go access that folder. So I'll come back to Firefox, and right at the end of this, I'm going to type in IMD 133 web design, just like that. Click return, and there it is. I guess I didn't have any images on that page, so I didn't really need to upload that. But that is what I just uploaded. So you could try out those steps, and you could either use Dreamweaver if you have access to that, or you could try one of the free programs at your own risk. You could do some research, be careful. I just do not want to recommend one because I've had a lot of issues with students having problems with the malware and the spyware, so be careful with that. Or you could download like a free trial. I think WSFTP has a free trial, so you could try that one, something like that, and get this done as well. So try that out if you have a chance, and upload your website. That's all I'm going to do here with Dreamweaver. So it says file activity complete. So then what you do is disconnect from remote server, minimize with this button right here, and now you're done. I'll go ahead and just shut this down. Alright, and last thing here I'll mention is hosting companies, and I may talk more about this in another video. So if you are in graphic design or web design, video game, video editing, eventually you're going to want to buy your own website. Now there are plenty of free spaces for you to upload your work. There's Behance, or if you do LinkedIn, things like that. Those are kind of separate websites that you can use in addition to your own website. And there really is no substitute for having your own domain name and just being able to send that to people. It just looks really professional, and it looks great when you develop your own website like that. And this is one example of a hosting company that I have used. I'm not trying to sell it. I don't know that it's better than anything else. I've tried a lot of them over the years. They all seem to be about the same in my opinion, and they've gotten really cheap. That's the good thing. The thing that you have to be careful about if you're going to buy your own domain name and hosting is that they'll get you with a cheap price, but then if you're not careful, when it comes time to renew, you will be hit with a pretty high bill. They'll go with like their normal prices, which is usually like 3 or 4 times what their starting rates are. So what I would recommend here, we'll just check this one out. If you think that you want to go ahead and buy your own domain name, you can do it all in one place, or you could buy the domain name and get the hosting later. There are just so many of these websites out there. I mean, thousands really. But if you're looking at hosting companies that sell everything all in one, there probably are maybe 10 or 15 that are the top hosting companies that everybody uses. So you can research that, or you can drop me an email. I'm just showing you one here that's pretty popular. So let's see here. So if you look at what they offer, if you look at their little hatchling plan, it's only $275 a month if you prepay. So you can buy your domain name, which sometimes they throw it in free for a year. But keep in mind, the domain names, that's a renewal process, meaning that you renew for you buy it for a set number of years. You could buy it for 1 year, and then it's going to renew at a higher rate the next year. You could buy it for 5 years at a time. It's just up to you what you want to do with that. But keep in mind, all of this stuff, it's going to get you with a credit card fee, credit card charge every month if you're not careful. So just be really careful with that. So this one gives you like a single domain. That's one domain. They don't even measure how much traffic you get. You get the SSL certificate, and somewhere on here. Okay, here's like a comparison. So here's their hatchling plan. They don't even limit your storage. So I would look for one that gets you unlimited storage if you're going to buy something. So you have to look at everything that they offer. So this isn't a place where you would get your own domain name, buy some hosting. Usually you prepay to get that low rate, so you're probably going to be out roughly, I don't know, $50 for a year. If you want to prepay more than that, that's including a domain name. It would be less if you have a domain name, you're just getting hosting. So I wanted to mention that as an option, but it's not required in this particular class. Something you should seriously consider if you are in the design field, getting your own domain name and hosting. Alright, well that is it for this tutorial on uploading to a server with FTP.